So I didn't like the Batman. In the first place, I didn't think we needed another standalone Batman. I was not excited for it. I don't like any of the hype that always builds up around these things, like Suicide Squad. Oh, Jared Leto is so crazy as the Joker. The cast members on set were terrified of Jared Leto, the actor, acting as the character, the Joker. The cast members were just petrified of him. I don't like all the fake online hype that goes on for stuff like that. I didn't like all the hype for Paul Dano as the Riddler. It's a comic book movie. Even though Paul Dano is a great actor, Prisoners was a great movie. That's the thing about this movie. Every actor in it is really good. Robert Pattinson, I don't care that he was in Twilight. Robert Pattinson is a great actor. Watch Good Time. This movie had a lot of great ingredients. It's just they came together in a way that didn't do it for me. If you liked it, more power to you. I'm not trying to rain on your parade. You might as well go have a good time at the theater. But I'll explain why I didn't like the movie at all. It annoyed the piss out of me. And the more I think about it, the more annoyed I am with it. So for starters, we get the backstory of the two candidates running for mayor of Gotham. You can look at the two candidates, who they are, observe their characteristics, think about what the writers are probably gonna do, and you can know where this is going. Oh, what are they gonna do? Oh, yep, okay, exactly what I thought. That's what you get. It's comical. It's cartoonish. The well-dressed, well-to-do, middle-aged white guy is bad. He's cheating on his wife. And he's corrupt. Always. All of these movies are like that. They all do it. This is not white tears, and you have a small brain if you think that. It's old, it's pandering, it's predictable, it's not good. The movie is 3 hours long, and that's because the pacing is bad. In a lot of scenes, someone will say something to Batman, he will pause for seconds, multiple strung together seconds, then slowly turn, which takes multiple more seconds, then look at the person who spoke for more seconds. It sounds small, but it's not. You add them up, and it's just like, alright, this scene is taking longer than it needs to take. Very first scene of Batman beating up criminals. A bunch of painted-faced thugs are beating a guy up in a subway station. We hear echoing footsteps down a dark hallway. Very slow footsteps. Batman is very proud of how scary he is. He walks out very slowly. It's comical. It's not intimidating. The music playing doesn't enhance it. It's a joke. It's something from decades ago, like stylistically. The new Batman musical theme is not good. Every time in the movie that Batman does anything, this theme plays. It's very boring. I did like the brutality of how he beat up the thugs. That was nice. For the record, I do like the music of the movie. Most of the music is really nice, surprisingly nice. It stood out to me. I just don't think it was used well in the movie, but that's because I didn't like any of the scenes. Robert Pattinson is very one-note as Batman. I've heard other reviewers praise his performance as subtle and say he says a lot with few words and just looks. And that's the thing, I understood what the scene was going for. I just thought it was corny. I thought it was really cheesy. Andy Serkis does a good job as Alfred, but it felt wasted. Alfred just didn't have much to do. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, fine, I guess. Her dialogue was really bad. Most of the dialogue in this movie was really bad. There were some really, really awful accents from the police officers.
One guy kept talking like this. One of the cops talked like this. Every line he spoke is like this. Oh, he's a real New Yorker cop. This guy's a real New Yorker. He's a Gotham City police officer.
Really terrible accents from the police officers. One of the early cops sounds extremely British, trying really hard to sound like a New Yorker. It's really weird, and I don't know how that got into the final movie. Paul Dano as the Riddler is bad. It's really comical. It's too much. That's what I can say about most of this movie. It's really on the nose and too much. Paul Dano starts singing Ave Maria like a crazy person, and we get, oh, he's crazy, he's insane, wow, this performance is chilling. Two candidates for worst scene in the entire movie. One is the trailer scene where they catch the Riddler at the diner. In the trailer, it makes sense to slowly pan up to his coffee so we can see the question mark in his latte art and realize that's who the villain of the movie is because it's a trailer. 2.5 hours into the movie, that scene does not make sense. We've already seen question marks all throughout the movie. They've been talking about Riddler, Riddler, Riddler. We know who the villain is. They've already captured him. Why did the camera slowly pan up with a dramatic musical sting to let us know that there's a question mark in his latte foam? 2.5 hours into the movie. The other worst scene in the movie is when the Riddler's in Arkham at the end crying because his plan failed and one of the prisoners nearby starts trying to comfort him. The guy says, they'll call you a clown, but there are worse things to be called. You immediately know this is the Joker. They're shoving the Joker down your throat again because we haven't had enough of that fascinating character over the years. Riddler says, who are you? And the Joker says, let me give you a riddle. It's something like, what's something that becomes more valuable the fewer you have? And Riddler's like, a friend. And then Joker's like, that's right, a friend. And then they start laughing together. They're like, and the camera slowly pans out. The camera slowly pans back out of Arkham, and you just hear them laughing for an uncomfortably long time, and it's so terrible. Everything in this movie is so on the nose. It's really dumb. We don't need more Jokers. We don't need another one. Give it a rest for a second. There are other villains. We don't need more Joker. You have sucked any interest there was in that character dry over the years. Colin Farrell was unrecognizable as the Penguin. He was also bad. He was not good. John Turturro was really great. John Turturro was really great in the movie, I can say that. The car chase scene that everyone praises was shot in the most boring way possible. I wanted it to end. It was loud and annoying. I wanted to go home. Another thing everyone's praising is how much Batman acts like a detective in this movie. It didn't do much for me. Every time the Riddler leaves a riddle, Batman figures it out within seconds. It would have been much better if riddles had gone unsolved for a while and stayed in the audience's mind while the characters went to take care of other things happening in the story. There wasn't much else happening in the story. The scene where Falcone tells Batman his dad wasn't as upstanding as he thought is wasted because in the very next scene, Batman goes and talks to Alfred and is like, "You lied to me."
All these years, you lied to me, Alfred.
And Alfred's like, "No, I didn't. Here's what really happened. Your dad was cool." Batman's like, "Oh." Bruce Wayne described what he was doing by being Batman as his parents' legacy, his family's legacy. There should have been consequences to finding out that his dad wasn't a Boy Scout. It should have affected some of his choices in the movie. He could have found out later that his dad was a pretty okay guy, but no arc came as a result of that revelation. It affected nothing. He immediately went to talk to Alfred, and Alfred corrected him. Near the end of the movie, the perfect, morally upright, virtuous lady running for mayor goes out in the middle of a flood to try and talk to people for some reason. She's like, "We have to be the leader. I'm gonna help by talking into a microphone." Gets shot, but she's fine. Batman has a really bland fight scene with a bunch of guys on the roof who were radicalized by an internet YouTube guy. Batman's getting beaten up by one of them. Catwoman comes and saves him by hitting the guy twice or 3 times, and then I guess she just assumes that this guy with the gun is down and she doesn't have to worry about him ever again. She gets on top of Batman and starts cooing in his face and is like, "Ooh, it's okay, it's over, it's alright," and she kisses him. And then suddenly the guy comes back behind her because, surprise, he wasn't down. Turns out kicking him twice didn't stop him. Batman jams some steroid juice into his suit. He jams a vial of green stuff into his leg, and that makes him go crazy and beat the guy up. And then Commissioner Gordon comes and is like, "Stop, don't kill him." And thank goodness Batman stops beating him up, I guess. We wouldn't want him to kill anyone. Speaking of Commissioner Gordon, he just growled the whole movie. Everyone was one note, everything was bad. That's the thing, I get what they were doing. Batman cuts the cord and falls in the water and sacrifices himself, comes out with a lit torch and leads the citizens of Gotham away like a beacon of hope. I get what was happening, I get what they were doing. It was extremely on the nose. That's what I don't like. For any subtlety that anyone saw in Batman's performance, it sure as hell wasn't in the script of the movie. This is not an exaggerated for YouTube review. I really did not like the movie at all. I was very disappointed walking out of the theater. This isn't really a complaint against the movie, but there were some articles talking about post-credit scene explained, and the post-credit scene poses a mystery for Batman fans, so my friend and I stayed through the entire credits, and the post-credit scene was some text appearing on the screen that said goodbye, and that was it. No mystery, nothing to explain. That was a slap in the face. That was really annoying. That's about all the effort I can be bothered to put into this. I did not like the Batman. If you liked it, fine, cool. Glad you had a good time at the theater.